He's editor-in-chief of Breitbart News and a New York Times best-selling author. And on this podcast, he brings deep research, prescient analysis, and world-class guests. He's Alex Marlow, and this is The Alex Marlow Show.
Welcome to The Marlow Show. Different show today, special show today, one of the biggest days of my life. I will tell you, we're speaking to Kevin Keane from the American Beverage Association later in the show. It's a great interview. He talked about how soda can be MAHA, which is kind of unbelievable. We talk about that a little bit, and the small businesses that go into the organization that he works for and operates. And I think this is a big thing as a huge consumer of sparkly beverages. I'm going to like this. It's a great story of American small business as well. So we'll hear from all that. But those of you who've been to Breitbart.com today know this is one of the biggest days of my life. I've announced the product of a year of research, my third investigative book, Breaking the Law. You guys know my first two books, Breaking the News and Breaking Biden, and Breaking the Law is my third book. It's been a year of investigation. Those of you who are see the visuals of the show today, I'm actually recording. I have my last half session of recording my audiobook. It's really a performance. It's not just I try to perform the book for you. You guys know I have a theater background in my family, so I try to do a good job with that to give you extra entertainment value. But this has been a product of, it really was, I'll start with this concept. This was a book that I felt really needed to be written. And I'd gone back and forth on how to do it or what to do. But overall, I came to the conclusion that the greatest threat to this republic and the greatest threat to Trumpism and Trump's movement was the weaponization of the judicial system against Donald Trump and his movement and his family. And someone needed to do a deep investigation of it, and that's exactly what I've done. The subtitle is Exposing the Weaponization of America's Legal System Against Donald Trump. And I'll walk you through as many details as I can about what's going on. Obviously, I'll hold back a lot of the juicier stuff for when it's available for publication or for purchase, which is just over a month away, but it's coming up very quick. But this is my deep dive into the history of lawfare, where it comes from, how it was sort of a spawn of judicial activism and legislation from the bench. And then I go through the Trump's cases, and the details of the cases against Donald Trump are unbelievable. Everyone is an outrage. You'll want to throw this book across the room. I will add that if you've read my prior two books, this is my shortest book, so which I tried to do that. I tried to make it as tight as possible for all of you. I know you all have busy lives, and there's a lot competing for your attention. I tried to make this as tight as possible. But when you go in the research, the coordination across branches of government, clearly illegal, needs to be investigated. I give details, but most importantly, I name names. I try to point out where the investigations need to go, who are the real bad guys. I call them out. President Trump has not yet gotten justice, and we need to expose the people behind it. That's exactly what I endeavor to do with the book, and then hopefully begin the conversation and the process to start bringing justice. Trump is not a justice yet. We need justice, and I go through all of the points, all of the key points that you can. And then, of course, I turn to the modern lawfare, where I was writing the book. It felt like it was almost like I was writing news articles towards the very end, where I was chronicling day to day all these injunctions, all these activist judges treating themselves as president, trying to disrupt Trump's agenda. I go through them all, from the law firms. They all get called out. They all get called out, everyone. I don't fear them. I don't. What I fear is that we lose this country to a overactive judicial system that is targeting people with my values and our standard bearers, in particular, Donald Trump himself, who has endorsed the book. These people want to destroy our country. I want to destroy the lawfare superstructure. That's what I want to do. You don't take my word for it. Take President Trump's. You can see the cover. It's available at Breitbart.com or wherever you like to get books. It's available for pre-sale now, and it'll be out in just a few weeks. The Trump endorsement, his backing of me and this book, is something that blew my mind. It was very fortunate, in my opinion, that he immediately got behind the book when he'd heard about it. It was a full-throated, enthusiastic endorsement, if there ever was one. And it is something that it was moving at the time, but I'll tell you, he knows how serious this is, and he knows how serious my work is, and how I would not be letting anyone down with this endeavor. is this is not written for any reason other than to try to help this country. That is why I did this. It's why I put in the time, a lot of nights and weekends away from family and away from my incredible children in order to try to put this together, to try to make a difference and to try to help this country out. And that's what Breaking the Law is all about. I couldn't be more excited. I'm coming in with a serious tone, but I would say, if I say so myself, it's hilarious in certain spots. You go through some of the E. Jean Carroll absurdities and you will laugh. I guarantee you will laugh. So it's a good time. It's an important thing to me. If you want to support me, getting those pre-sale numbers up early and often is great. Buy one for a liberal friend, buy one for a family member. All of this helps me grow in what I do and what I'm able to do so I can get right on to the next investigation. These things are complicated. They're time consuming. They are absolutely the hardest thing I do in journalism is to put these books together, but they feel absolutely worth it when I'm tackling a topic that could maybe make a difference in this country. And I think this one can. So Breaking the Law, it is out in about a month, available for pre-sale now. And that's the big launch. That's the big announcement. I will have way more detail, of course, on the show with some I'll get a cover on my set. I've already got the cover, but I'm not on my set today. I'm in the studio finishing up the audiobook, which if you like audiobooks, I'm performing it for you. So that is what I'm up to for the rest of the day. But couldn't be more excited and couldn't be more excited to share it with my audience, the Marlow audience. And thank you in advance for all of your support. So that's going to be it today. Plus this incredible interview with Kevin Keane from the American Beverage Association. You will enjoy this. I guarantee it. And thank you for all of your support. All the latest, that Trump quote on Breitbart.com. Make sure to pick up the book if you want to see me climb those charts, which means a lot to me. All right. Thanks to Misty. Let's throw it to the interview. This is a moment of deep economic chaos. No one knows really what the future is for the big, beautiful bill. No one knows what the future is for tariffs, China tariffs. So many of America's biggest companies are seeing wild swings that are just completely inconsistent. The hedge against the wild times we're in is gold. And if you had bought gold, when I started to recommend my friends at Priority Gold, you would have made a ton of money. I'm just looking at the data right now. We're talking about year to date, gold is up 25.4% as I'm doing this recording over the last year. Gold's up 40%. That is a wild return. That's an absolutely wild return. I was just doing TV with Steve Moore, and he was talking about the price of gold and how it's really, really high right now. And it crested over $3,400 an ounce just this week. I've got the best partners in the game at Priority Gold. If you text the word freedom to the number 24999, or you go to prioritygold.com/freedom, they will get you a free gold and silver guide. They will help personalize a package for you so that you can start buying your own gold. You can do a gold 401k, a gold IRA. They have so many options for you, and they will help you. They will help you. They will get on the line with you and tailor a strategy just for you. But you got to go to prioritygold.com/freedom or text the word freedom to 24999. These are great partners to be in business with at a moment where gold is red hot. It's gold hot right now. All right, check them out, prioritygold.com/freedom. Our new guest on the show today, Kevin Keane, the president and CEO of the American Beverage Association, American Beverage Association. Kevin, great to have you on the show. And I want to talk about the Diet Coke drinker in chief, and you got a super interesting background. You went through journalism. You were sort of in Republican side of the bureaucracy for a while, and now you find yourself representing some of the biggest and smallest beverage makers in the world. And it's definitely a interesting time to be in that line of work. But I want to get a little bit of your background. So you were in journalism, and then you ended up working for Tommy Thompson, who's sort of a legendary conservative figure. Give me a little bit about your history.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me, Alex. But yes, I started as a journalist. I wanted my dream job when I started was to cover the Cubs for the Chicago Tribune. It never quite made it to that. I got into covering politics and government instead. And was out here working for a chain called Thompson Newspapers and loved it. A great opportunity, a great editor. But one of the things I got in my review is, I need to be more cynical. So I just had my first kid and wasn't looking to become more cynical in life. So Tommy Thompson, it was kind of kismet, was looking for someone to help run his comm shop back in Wisconsin, which is where I'm originally from. My family's from. So, and always loved and respected Governor Thompson. And so took advantage of that opportunity and got in the arena, and it's great work for a governor. I always say the best job in America is being a governor, and the second best job is working for a governor, because you get up and make things happen. You can solve problems, address problems more quickly than you can in Washington most often. So it was a great opportunity. And then I followed Governor Thompson out here to D.C. when he became Secretary of Health and Human Services, and worked with him for the first term of President George W. Bush.
So the question I always ask anyone who's associated with Thompson is, how long was it amusing that his name was Tommy Thompson? Like 8 years, 10 years? Because my dad used to have a baseball teammate named Francis, and I've never gotten over it. I'm almost 40 years old. I've been laughing at it for 35 years.
First of all, Tommy is his real name. That's what's on his birth certificate. And it was great. And it's really great when you're trying to connect with real people. I mean, how more authentic can you be than a Tommy Thompson? And he was kind of that kind of guy. He's a small town guy and very relatable, which made him popular. And then obviously he had great ideas, which, validated that popularity.
So are you Wisconsin based? Were you from Wisconsin? How did you get attached to him?
Well, I'm born in Chicago, originally from Chicago, and that's where my family is, but my dad worked for UPS, moved around a bit. We ended up in Wisconsin from 7th grade on. So I was there from high school. I went to high school there, went to college there, met my wife there. Her family's all from northern Wisconsin, so they're Packer fans. I unfortunately am a Viking fan, so a little tension there.
Yeah.
But no, Wisconsin's great place.
So, okay, so Tommy Thompson comes out and he's Health and Human Services Secretary under President Bush. And so what did you do for him there?
I was the Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs. So I ran the public affairs operation, but also was, two of us who came out with the Secretary, Bob Wood and myself, were his longtime 1-2 punch. So got to work on a lot of policy issues as well. So that was great. That was a great part of the job, is actually trying to solve some big problems.
Right. So that was what I was going to ask. What were the big problems at the time? Because I guess this is about 20 years ago, roughly, when this is. So what were the major concerns of Health and Human Services Department at that moment?
I think it started with we were working on some public health policy, and then 9/11 hit. And so that became our focal point, was responding to 9/11, obviously here first in America. But then once we went to Afghanistan and ultimately Iraq, going over there and helping to rebuild the health systems there. You had one of the great challenges is the women and children didn't have great health care or any health care really in Afghanistan. And so went over there to help stand that up after the war there. But then it moved back into domestic policy. Obviously we had to deal with bioterrorism, and the anthrax and the smallpox scares, and got through that. But then it turned to prescription drug type issues, and especially as it related to seniors. And so was able to work on, Medicare Part D, reforming Medicare and Medicaid, period. It was under Tommy Thompson that
that's what he was known for.
Medicare and Medicaid administration. So a lot of healthcare policy and prescription drug policy, some of the things the president is still talking about today. Quite frankly, we were trying to push and promote, 20 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what do you see as the main challenges facing Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and his HHS at the moment?
Well, they're complex issues, and it's a complex department. It's a big department, and so I can see his desire to try to create some stronger synergy within that department, and it's got big agencies that have, in some cases, better brands than HHS does. FDA, CDC, NIH. So getting everybody working on the same page and coordinated on common issues. I think that's going to be one of the Secretary's challenges, and I think he's trying to take that on and realize in a short time, quite frankly, how complex it is, how to try to cut through that complexity, and how to bring real solutions to people, make a difference.
Okay, so tell me about the American Beverage Association. What do you guys do? Who do you represent? And what's the day-to-day like running that?
Yeah. So we're the non-alcoholic beverage industry. So we represent the biggest members of our organization are Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Keurig Dr. Pepper, but we have a lot of smaller members people might recognize, like Polar Beverages,
Sure.
Cheerwine, Red Bull, Monster, Celsius are all members. So we have the energy drink folks. Any of the big brands that are non-alcoholic are members of our association.
So this is a lot of American businesses, small businesses.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of medium-sized businesses as well. A lot of production. I mean, the assembly line, I'm sure, in this stuff is pretty complex, and I'm sure you got to navigate all that. But I want to start with the health issues of that, because I want to start with MAHA. I want to go to America First and where you guys fit in the America First ecosystem. But the MAHA question is really interesting because there seems to be a greater consciousness about our health and right now, and it feels as though a lot of people mindlessly consuming liquid calories has been a big problem. But I know that you think of yourself as representing it's an alternative to that in ways as well. So where do you think your organization fits in with the broader, greater health consciousness that we are very overweight, very obese at the moment?
Well, first of all, those are all legitimate and real concerns, and we acknowledge them, and we acknowledge that we have to be part of the solution. You know, we're only 6% of the calories in the American diet, but regardless, we need to do our part. And what we're proud of, Alex, is we've been doing that for, 15 going on 20 years now in a conscientious way.
Yeah.
We've been driving down the calories we're putting in the marketplace. They're actually down 42%. The calories, beverage calories that we're putting in the marketplace. And we're doing that primarily, Alex, by creating more choices for the consumer that have zero sugar and zero calories in them. So you might automatically think, okay, that's the diet. It's the Diet Coke, the Diet Pepsi, the Diet Dr. Pepper. Well, they also created zero versions of that, which has a bit different flavor profile. So if the diet might not have been your preferred taste, zero might be. So it gives you that option. But let's put the sodas aside, so to speak. Our industry our companies have also created so many new beverages, from sparkling waters to still waters, flavored waters, different types of teas, hydration drinks, like Body Armor and Propel. And then, of course, some of the zero sugar energy drinks, the Celsius. So all these new choices that actually taste good, Alex. Yeah. And they put their marketing dollars behind it. So if you watch ads now, that's what our companies are promoting. They're promoting the zero sugar sodas. Yeah. They're promoting the Propels and the Body Armors. And as a result of that, Alex, 60% of the beverages Americans buy today, so that they actually put money down on, 60% have zero sugar. Wow. So there's no other industry that can say that about the foods and products that they're offering, that they have that kind of choice and alternative for their consumers. And we're proud of that. And it's been conscientious on their part to do that. And be
it is really, I think that there is a lot of good that can be done here. I'll tell you this, just in my family, we're massive soda consumers. Every bit of it is diet. I can't stand the corn syrup sodas, but we're constantly, and even my children, I let my children have diet soda, try to keep them not too much caffeine for them. But it's the juices are, the juices are very high calorie for them, and they're not really necessary. They like the diet Sprites and stuff. And but you've got a huge ally in the White House now, which is kind of wild. Like the biggest Diet Coke drinker on the planet is Donald Trump. I've probably spent maybe 10 or 12 days with President Trump over the years. He had 400 Diet Cokes during those 10 or 12 days. I mean, that's the kind of, so he's got to be averaging like 50 a day. That had to be, you guys had to have been high-fiving when Trump got in for that reason, right?
Well, obviously the president's a great and loyal consumer of Diet Coke, and very proud of that, just as we are with Vice President Vance, who's a big loyal consumer of Diet Mountain Dew. So we make great products, and just like you just went through, Alex, what you do as a parent and the choices you make for your family, that's something we're proud that we're providing you, is that type of choice, that you have those choices for your children and your family. And you can make them, and the president's made his, others make theirs. And I think that's part of what makes us proud. We're offering these free market-based solutions based on innovation and choice and information. And we think that's what America's about. That's what the economy is about. That's the economy the president wants to build, is one based on choice and growth, and doing that here in America. We're American-based companies. If I can go back 1 second to an earlier point you made on the economy, I just want to kind of clarify something for your viewers and listeners. Oftentimes people think of Coke and Pepsi and Dr. Pepper as one big company. They're actually systems. So yes, there's Coca-Cola in Atlanta and Pepsi based in Purchase and Dr. Pepper based in Texas. But then there's a whole system of family-owned independent bottlers in communities across the country that actually manufacture the beverages and then take them to market. So if you see a Coke or Pepsi or Dr. Pepper truck out front of your store, that's not from Atlanta or the corporate headquarters. That's the truck of a local bottler in your community, and the people making that are from your communities, and that's something we're proud of. That's why when the president's talking about America first, man, that's who we are. That's what this industry is.
So before we change gears, the last thing I want to ask on the health front is, what's the latest thinking on aspartame? Because we were warned for like 30 years aspartame is going to cause, everyone's going to get cancer from it. And it feels like we all just got really obese during that time, and then we didn't see the aspartame cancers yet. And I could have done homework on this. My wife is an oncologist. I could have asked her before, but I forgot to do this before the show. But the audience can correct me, email me, aloha@alexmarlow.com. But I'm not seeing the rash of aspartame related cancers yet. It seems like it's not coming.
Well, we have, you just mentioned the one of the consumers in chief with Diet Coke, and he's 79 years old. He's as fit as can be. Yeah,
he's really fit,
and he's a champion golfer still.
Yeah.
So I think that shows. First of all, coming back to just the data on your question, Alex, aspartame is the most studied ingredient out in the world. It really is. It's been studied hundreds of times. In fact, there was a review just a couple years ago on aspartame by the World Health Organization that showed it is safe once again. And the FDA reaffirmed that. So did the European Food Safety Association, Health Canada, and 30 other global health agencies reaffirmed that aspartame is safe. So it's safe, and we stand strongly behind it, Alex. Understand if people want to make different choices.
Yes.
And so we have options, including the diet options that don't have aspartame in it.
Sure, but it sounds like what I'm hearing, and this is really interesting perspective, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm just trying to understand the messaging. But like big tobacco, when I was coming after big tobacco, they acted like nicotine wasn't addictive and not harmful. You're not saying that people drinking too much sugar is good for them. You're not saying that, but you're saying that you guys are working really hard night and day to provide great alternatives for people who want a 0-calorie option, and that's kind of cool.
It is, and thank you. But first, I got to grab something because we can't let that go. We don't think we're tobacco, and we're not tobacco.
Yeah,
I mean, you can drink our products and be safe and healthy. I don't think you can say that about tobacco. But it is cool that we're able to provide choices. So if a consumer does have a concern, they want to make a choice, we're providing those alternatives to them to do so. And look, we don't say this lightly. We're consumer-based companies. We're not going to succeed and thrive if we're not putting out safe products. So there's
Right.
nothing we care more about than the safety of our products, especially with the big brands that we have and the equity they have. They don't take that lightly, and they don't take consumer trust lightly.
Yeah, and so I do want to move to some of the more America First stuff and some of the conservative values I'm seeing underlying some of this. We were all so offended by the New York City soda ban or soda cap on even those of us who don't like sugar soda and think it's not good for people. It's the idea of taking away that freedom.
Yeah.
That is so deeply un-American. I just wanted you to speak to that. You've heard me talk about efforts from the legacy media to stop you from accessing shows like mine. They do it by limiting spectrum that's available to consumers like you to access shows like this. They actually claim it's a national defense issue, which is a bit of a stretch if you think about it. And Trump isn't buying it either, and neither is Senator Ted Cruz. In the big, beautiful bill, Republicans have heard your voice and are providing more spectrum. So what does that mean for you? It can reduce your monthly broadband bill and preserve your ability to watch, listen, and stream the content that you choose. Not what's chosen for you by some cable provider. The sale of this spectrum will also generate billions of dollars to reduce our national debt. Don't let the giant cable providers and legacy media continue to filter your information. Tell your senator and member of Congress to work with Senator Ted Cruz and President Donald J. Trump to expand spectrum and end the legacy media monopoly for good. You can learn more at endthecableopoly.org. That's endthecableopoly.org.
Yeah, and that's exactly it, Alex. We're about choice and information and having an informed choice for consumers. When you have government coming in, starting to tell you what size beverages you can have, what you should be doing or not doing, trying to tax you to get you to do that, or ban certain types of products, that is un-American. That's not market-based. That's not free market. That's not what this country is built on. If consumers don't want to buy a product, they're not going to buy it, and then the company's going to get the picture and not sell it. So we make good products. People buy them. They like having choice. They like mixing it up. Watch consumers in a quick serve restaurant once in a while. They'll go play with the different mixes on soda. So they'll literally mix up the sodas to taste that's fun for them.
Yeah, it definitely is. So I want to come back to the America First element because I know that this is something that you guys are enthusiastic about. And you've spoken to us a bit about this over recent months at Breitbart about how you guys are committed to investing in American businesses and American jobs and American market-based solutions. So talk to us about your goals here and what steps you're taking.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. We have a saying on the wall just outside the door here that says we're American companies making American products with American workers in America's hometowns. And that's not just a motto, that is who we are. So when you have the president out there creating this America First agenda on the economy and wanting to create jobs here in America, I mean, that's our sweet spot. That is who we are. And we're proud of the type of jobs we're creating, too. We're creating the jobs and we provide the jobs that the president talks about. These are jobs that are working class jobs. You don't necessarily have to have a college education, but you're going to make a great salary. You're going to be able to put down roots, support your family, grow in a community. And most of our workers stay their entire careers with the companies, these bottling companies, because they're treated so well. And they are the working class jobs that the president wants. Yes, we have executive jobs too, and the type of jobs that you do need to have a college education. But I don't think there's an industry that provides the balance of jobs that we do, including union jobs. You know, the president talks about the Teamsters and how supportive they were of him. We're Teamster jobs too.
Hey, no, I feel like a Teamster when I do I got a family of 6 and then my sister lives with me. And so we got 7 and we're, as I mentioned, all the Diet Coke cans that we got coming in and out. I mean, I feel like I need a special license to hauling those things around. It's that's very cool. So are you working directly with Health and Human Services with Trump? I mean, what are the initiatives that you would like put in people who might be in my specific audience's brains?
Yes, I think first and foremost, we want, and have been sending the message to the White House that we support the American First economic agenda and provide those type of jobs. We want to make sure they're aware that we're doing the work the president's talking about and the type of jobs he wants, and that they're here in America. We're also working with them on some of the issues that they're raising concerns about. So you mentioned HHS again. So
yeah,
yes, they're concerned about the health of children. We are too. So we've been having good conversations with them. They're active conversations on what more can we do. I just walked you through earlier all of the work we've done already in the marketplace to change the marketplace and transform it so there's less sugar in it. Mm-hmm. We're not by any means believing that we're done. We know there's more work to be done, and we're more than willing to do our share of that work. And so we're looking to what more we can do to address their concerns. One of the things that they've talked to us about is, can you create greater transparency around the ingredients in your product? We were the first industry, by the way, to come out with those front of pack calorie labels that tell you exactly how many calories are in that can of beverage or bottle of beverage.
Wow.
But we took the challenge to do more. So we, over talking to the White House in February, and that was one of the things they raised with us. So we went to work, and we're building a website that we should be ready to launch in the next week or two. That is going to put on one website all of our beverage ingredients and the core information consumers will want about that ingredient. So it's going to tell you what that ingredient, what other foods and beverages that ingredient might be in. It's going to tell you what other names that ingredient might go by. It may be called one thing here in America, but a different thing in Europe. So that's going to help create some clarity. And then it's going to tell you the regulatory status of that ingredient, not just here in America, but in Europe and in Canada. So, and people are going to be able to click on that and go directly to those countries' regulatory and safety authorities to get the information straight from them. So it's a straightforward, fact-based site. We're going to have no perspective on there. We're going to have no push, no judgments on those ingredients, just straightforward information. And we think it's going to be a good first stop for consumers, Alex, including your wife and your family and you, to get the basics, get the core information straightforward in a straightforward manner, because we know consumers have other apps and other websites they can go to that are going to give them judgments on whether someone likes that ingredient and thinks it's good, bad, otherwise. We're not going to go there. We're going straight forward. And I think that's one way we're trying to be responsive to the White House, to MAHA,
sure. Very cool.
And the consumer ultimately.
Well, yeah, I think that's very, very cool to be. We like information around here. You're a journalist, so I know you know this. That's our stock and trade here. So this is the most important question I got. How do people at the Dr. Pepper company come up with all those crazy flavors? I think that's the most wild thing I've ever. They got like the creamsicle with the blackberry diet going. I mean, that has got to be. If these aren't the most genius chemists that we've got, like, how do you come up with that stuff? Like, that is just, who even has the idea and then to execute on it? And most of them taste like reasonable facsimiles of what the actual juice would taste like.
They do. I don't know how they do it either, Alex. It's all proprietary, so they don't give us the secret recipes. Yeah. But you're right, and it's what you touch on is kind of how this is a fun industry too, and we try to be a fun industry, but we're always coming up with innovation and new tastes and new things for people to try, and I think America likes that too. They like to have fun. They like to try new things. And our companies aren't afraid to try something and it not work. But because more likely than not, they're going to hit on something.
Yeah, I think that's true. So anyway, well, it's exciting, and I like the direction you're taking the industry, and it's very cool. And on a personal level, I'm rooting hard for Big Diet Coke. So so now I know who to talk to. Kevin Keane. Where can I direct people? I know you guys have some big stuff. You kind of tend to find us with some big stuff that's going on. But where can people, if people want to know more, where should they go for the American Beverage Association?
Yeah, our website is americanbeverage.org, so they can go to that. We're on X and other social media. We have a LinkedIn page, so they can find us on social media too.
Well, it's nice of you to be here and reach out to us and give me all the information and handle some of these questions. I think it's going to clear up a lot for the audience. And let's be in touch and let's speak again.
Thanks, Alex. I appreciate that.
Me too.
Thanks for being a good consumer too. Appreciate that.
That I am. I got a whole Diet Coke. I was walking through just my sister's allocation with her the other day, and I'm saying you're at like $60 a month of Coke cans, and she was blown away. And it says, you know what though? That's why I work so hard, so I can afford all the Diet Coke cans I want. There's just nothing better. It really isn't. It really is my. I can't go a day without it. It's my number one. And now the audience knows my secret. So that's it. We're being open with them. All right. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Alex. Take care.